As spiritual, we live in a sea of presence. All spiritual people in this world who have lived at any time or place or circumstance know that. They're aware of that. They live with that. Now when things go wrong this day or that, or in your country at a time where there's an explosion or someone had a horrific accident, you're still in that place of divine grace. And you can't tell people that, most people that you know, because you'll know everything will eventually work out, will work for the best. And this means even a day like today, where the horrors, the rumors of war, and the circumstance of the world is so horrible, we're going to express several, 3 or 4 or 5 techniques that you can use for a few months. You'll have them locked in and use them from time to time, and you'll never have to leave that place of grace. Doesn't mean you won't care, you won't bleed for anyone else's injury, but you'll know the end game. You'll never have to leave the sea again. The exercises begin with, you got to work, you can write down, I always use a legal pad, I've done this and taught this for many years, and you can, however you want in the beginning, just write down or think of 10 things you did that day. You brushed your teeth, you got to work on time, you kissed your puppy, whatever it was. Weren't happy with traffic, and just write it down or think it. I wasn't happy with traffic, I kissed my wife out the door, petted little Zachary the cat, something happened on the way, I saw Johnny at work. Boom. So 10 things. And when you're doing it, you're very conscious. Like when I listen to people, I'm completely aware, I don't think at all. Or when I do healings, I'm not there. Just this sea of presence. And no matter what the person is feeling, I might be cognizant of it, but I don't react to it, and they feel the divine grace. Right? So when you listen to yourself, I did 10 things, you get out of the cerebral cortex, the present time things, and you get back into the sense of grace that we all feel all the time, right? All of us who are spiritual. So that's one way. And then you have about 5 or 6 lists that are your favorite lists. One can be about adventures you took with the family, or they can be about time you went out with the family. To make the list of great occasions you had in your life. 10 wonderful things. When I played ball with my dad, first day I did this or that. You know, just simple list about areas of consciousness. My favorite has always been spirituality. I'll write down 10 things, or I do it with people. Write down 10 things, or 3 things, your 3 or 4 favorite spiritual experiences. You'll write them down. And eventually when you get relaxed with this, and you just say, oh, and I felt so-and-so. And one day I was walking to the ocean, and the sky opened, and so forth and so on. Or I felt the dads of my buddies' parents, like I do right now, the 3 of them. Rob's dad, Greg's dad, and mine, they're all buddies right now in the room. And so you write down or think of 3 or 4 spiritual experiences you had, and you acknowledge, I felt this, that happened, that happened, that happened. You do it in a very quiet way. Acknowledge it and drop it, acknowledge it, and don't think about it again. If you just do this with different areas of thought, like we all have different preferences. For me, I always use the spiritual ones. As soon as I think of them, boom. No matter what's going on, it dissipates, it disappears. So if you do these exercises, I'll follow through in the next 3 minutes to make these very clear cut for us to practice. But when you do these, now after 3 or 4 or 5 months, you won't have to do them the rest of your life. You'll have it locked in. It's like reading or writing or arithmetic. It's like as soon as you know the basics, it'll always be there. So no matter what you're going through, anything, this week I had the most horrible experiences imaginable, but they never really registered as the end of life. I had horrible demonic things during the night, and simultaneous to that I was aware that this is happening, that I was under attack, and it was okay because my cerebral cortex is not going to get involved in anything. I'm going to be in present time. I'm going to be relaxed, at ease. At least I have my dipping my feet into the water. You see what I'm saying? I never leave the ocean, the sea, the beautiful sky. Never. And in truth, as a spiritual person, I might say for myself, I've never been here, ever. So as soon as you do these exercises, you'll realize this whole lifetime, no matter what happened to you, they'll drop away from you. So today the point is to do these simple exercises, and because we are all spiritual. So you're going to fall back into this heavenly grace that we're aware of all the time. It's lighter than our sense, it's our soul. It's God's soul. It's the soul of your dad's, mom, the dearly departed, and the dearly alive. The process is just to acknowledge in a light way, 1969, the heavens opened and I, in one moment, saw everything that I would live through. That happened, and it's still happening, and so I know the end, which is, this never was. And these words might sound silly to the everyday person, but to the spiritually endowed, of course. Any spiritual experience we have deals with an endless expanse of divine presence, doesn't it? When you kiss the one you love, when you care for anything, when you appreciate fine art, work in the garden, which is one of these exercises. I used to have places where I could farm. I had a big farm, and that's all you need to do is walk out into the fields or repair the road or whatever, and the world disappears because there's no human interaction with the craziness of the everyday. Back to the exercise again. I use a legal pad in the beginning and write down 10 spiritual experiences I had. Write down 10 works of art or buildings that I appreciate. Write down 3 or 4 times that the family went on a picnic, or you took a walk with a friend, appreciated a work of art, a movie. What are your favorite songs? And you can write down 3 or 5 or 10. And I just saw a roll of them from the 60s that were beautiful, rock and roll to me, and as well as Prokofiev and so forth and so on. And it takes you away from the cerebral cortex, which is always looking for something wrong, and as soon as that's the whole idea of meditation, is to get out of this thing, stop it, boom. So no matter what's going on with me, it's like Greg's a fine martial artist, so he can, under the most imaginable pressure, he's completely quiet inside, because he's been a world champion so many times, so many teaches or works with people. It's a very, very simple thing to do. I can do that when working with people for psychoanalytic problems, where I can simply listen to them without reacting. And this is the whole point, is to not react to your own perception. When you get good at it, then there's nothing here. I say that because we're all spiritual, right? So if we get out of this thing, or our emotions, which are part of the cerebral cortex, that the present time circumstances, as soon as we relaxed about that, it's just this ocean breeze coming in all the time from heaven. And in that breeze, it'll change from moment to moment. I'll see my mom and grandmom's presence, and my sisters, and my little brother James, and who I lost 50 years ago, but he's always here. And you know what I'm saying? It's a wonderful time to be alive. You'll share these exercises with your friends and loved ones, and in the beginning just by listening to people, because it's the biggest thing in the world. The most damaging thing is that no one listens to anyone, actually listens. And I'm saying for you to train yourself to be in this geologic quiet and listen to people. In other words, you begin by walking in the room and just be interested in the space. You'll never be bored. Because as soon as you do that, you'll cross the great divide and you'll be back into this spiritual expanse that we know as God. And that God knows as us. Isn't that wonderful? There's no reason to leave home again. Your friends, your family, your loved ones will never leave you. And we'll all work each other's difficulties out when we understand that from birth we're set up to be hurt in this world system that is run by this thing called Satan. Without reacting to it, I can look at Satan right now and it's nothing. And that's behind everything. The entire world is a mirage. It's a lie. It's a mistaken consciousness that happened whenever it happened, and it's only in this infinitesimal subatomic, subatomic particle reality called the Earth world, this consciousness. I've never been here inside myself. All spiritual people, as soon as you quiet yourself, you'll see that. And this isn't insanity, this isn't a lack of caring, this is the ultimate caring. Because when you're there, you'll feel the grief of God himself over all this madness, which is unimaginable, except it's imaginable, and you'll experience it. And you'll experience how everyone's been set up, and you'll heal your friends and neighbors if they're right for that. And if they're not, that's okay. Because there'll come a moment during this spiritual warfare when it will have to be decided, and we've healed everyone that can be healed, and maybe there'll be a decision of some kind. And that's okay. This will not go on forever. This is over, it's done, it's true, this time around, you can fulfill every spiritual promise you've ever made to yourself, to those you loved and care for. You'll all be healed, helped, regenerated, improved, illumined, enlightened, brought back into godness of pre-birth. You are a divine presence. You are an ocean of light, a kindness, a sweetness, a decency, a powerfulness. You're a force to be reckoned with in this world. You will have the strength and the balance and the courage to move through this madness without reacting and picking out this one, that one, the other one, those that you see are worthy of this. And you'll give yourself away. You've done it so many times and gotten almost nothing back. But if you understand this and know how to not care about not getting anything back, just to be as pure as a living light that our Father God is, you'll be aware of our Father God, of the throne of grace, of all the miracles of time and circumstance and divinity. You never have to leave. Hearth and home. And those you most deeply care for will be with you from the very beginning of this, because they're with you now. Don't you experience in your heart and soul and your mind and your body the love of your grandmom, your teachers, your favorite people? When you expand through the living ethers in spiritual experience, and you have this gift of healing, you'll know. I do it in the most bizarre circumstances or the sweetest circumstances all day of my life. And it works. The main thing is to do these few exercises in the beginning, Very quietly acknowledge, I did this, I did that, I did the other. And then you'll remember that all during it you felt this presence. This thing is a mistake. We shouldn't be looking for something out of order. That's what the cerebral cortex is set up for. But there's nothing out of order. Nothing. You'll move through the circumstance. You'll enlighten, illumine, heal, correct, redirect, bless, empower every decent person you meet from here on in. Just know that once you employ these certain exercises, after 2 or 3 months, you'll know that they're there and you'll just think about it for a moment. And the cerebral cortex will kick off, and you remember that all during this you felt this divine presence, we're aware of God, and all will be well with you, with your world, with your life. So that what I did originally was to write on a legal pad 10 things I did, 10 things I accomplished, 10 things I appreciated, 10 times I enjoyed nature, 10 spiritual experiences I had, 10 things I understood. You decide what they are, and you'll add or detract from the list. And just using them from time to time, after a while, as soon as you get to the place where, oh, that happened, but you'll get back to this, you'll heal yourself instantaneously. You'll get, just acknowledge each thing. I did that, got it. And then don't think about it again. Did that, drop it, did that, and drop it. If we don't go back to this, that's crazy making, right? So I did this, I did that. When Greg teaches his students, they do that, and he won't let them mess up again. It's the muscle memory is perfect because he's a master instructor, and it'll be perfect. So he does it with his heart and soul. You trust him like you would your dad, your mom. Do it with yourself. In the beginning, do this, do that, and then drop it. Don't think about it again. And then this sea of light that we are aware of, all of us who are spiritual, because we're all spiritual, then we can live in a sea of grace and know that this time around will be the last roundup. So get deep in your saddle. You know, when you're on a horse, you don't look around, you just turn your eyes a little bit, the horse is going to turn with you because you're like one person. It's like being in love, and that horse has a lot more presence than we do. But the love between the horse and you, and your puppy and your mommy and your daddy, the love is perfect. So if we don't react and we just move with each other's eyesight and we help each other and back each other up, then this will be over forthwith. Because you're good, because you're pure, because you're true, because you're free, because you're whole, because you're decent, you're intelligent, God knows. You're kind, you're healing, you're aware. So don't let these things that come at you, that people threaten us from day to day or whatever, vibe or sense, and just try not to react to that, and you'll be shocked how beautiful the days become, how wondrous, how romantic the nights will be. There's nothing wrong with you. There's everything right with you. The thing people need in the world most is to be listened to. So you do that, but beyond that is the real basic reason you're alive, is spiritual empowerment. So when someone's quiet enough because you listen to them and then they've let down their case and they've let down their prison walls, then you can share the gift of divinity because you're spiritual. So then all of a sudden you'll be speaking as God, won't you? You've done it many times, have you not? And you always will, won't you? And you care so deeply. And it's been so rough here, hasn't it? So all we need at this point is someone to let us know a few basics in our cognition to be able to clean up our own case, let it go, Like, no, this happened, that happened. I was beat with a baseball bat one day in 1962, I guess, and it didn't matter. Fortunately, the bat cracked on my head and I took care of business. Very lucky. So I can remember that, but it's like it never happened. I just remember the good part of it, or don't remember it. It's gone. And I've had many experiences like that. Or when I learned to read, there was a reading course. I'm just thinking where you learn to speed read things, and that was just before I went to the Marine Corps. And I'm just simply saying, none of these things that were intense at the time can touch me. I've been in the most horrible circumstances, and they're gone. Because I look at them, I remember this happened, that happened. You see what I'm saying? And you acknowledge it, you put it on a list, put it away, and what would you call it, the feeling you had with it, the charge, or the emotional charge would be gone, right? My friend Rosenberg used to call it that. She started the Institute for Reduction of Traumatic Stress with Dr. Gabodi, and I was on the board, and we listened to combat veterans, but without reacting to them at all. They could say this, and if you react to hairline, they'll stop, they'll freeze up. So I do it all the time with people, and they feel very free. And you do this in your everyday life, and people will be thrilled. They'll love to be around you. You actually listen, and they feel that. And when you actually listen, you're not there. We're spiritual, and they feel that divine grace. Because they are that divine grace. We are divine grace. We all volunteered for this horribleness because we knew something in the universe was out of whack, and we dropped into it. My own experience, to make this point, is infinite, unimaginable purity and beauty, heavenly golden light, endless angelic visitation, what are you going to call it, around the clock all of my life. At the same time, been through every horrible experience you could think of, every horrible experience, on every ground. Been accused of everything. You know what I mean? And it doesn't touch you because this whole world is the accusation. And if you look the devil in the eye, he will flee from you. It's fear-based, and it's infinitesimal particle. That's the point, that there is this infinity of experience that we've all experienced at different points. In the beginning, you'll have your family and friends with you and your loved ones, and then eventually everyone that's decent in the world, and we'll fold this whole thing up. And it will be as though it never was, because it never is. You are a sea of grace. God be with you on this heavenly cause of yours, to heal the nations, to free the infirm, care for the decent. You'll provide sanctuary in every sense to every decent person and soul. Whether it's the kitten Zachary that I know, or whoever, my teacher Susan, whoever, it's their people that are living in a state of grace for us through every imaginable trauma, and they don't complain. And we who are spiritual don't complain. I don't complain. Not because I'm better than anyone or anything, but because I live in a sea of grace. And you are my teacher. And I am your student. Thank you. Thank you, sir.